Year 4, happy Friday. Hopefully this might be the second to last Friday at home. We've got one more week next week of home learning where I'm going to be introducing you to more of the websites for the lessons and things, because that's what we'll carry on with after we return to school on the days you're not in. But I'm quite looking forward to being back and to seeing you all, because it has been a long time and I do miss you. For today though, I thought I would read you another story in the World's Worst Children 3 book, because I see that you enjoyed it the other day, and I have chosen today to read you Hank's Pranks. I hope you enjoy it. Hank's Pranks. Pranks can be harmless. Pranks can be fun, but not Hank's pranks. Oh no, they were deadly, as you might well expect from one of the world's worst children. Not a day went by without Hank playing a trick on somebody. It could be something simple like deflating a balloon every time his teacher sat down to make it sound like they'd blown off, sticking strips of sticky tape to the door frame so anyone passing through became stuck in it, putting cling film around the toilet bowl so you splashed yourself as you peed, smearing butter all over the kitchen floor so it became as slippery as an ice rink, or tickling his sleeping father on the nose with a feather so when he woke up he would sneeze. There are some of his pranks. Or his pranks could be a little more elaborate, like pretending to be poisoned in the school cafeteria by painting his face purple and then lying on the floor, moaning loudly, "Beware the fish pie!" Or on a school trip to a history museum, wrapping himself in toilet paper and pretending to be one of the Egyptian mummies that had come to life. Whoa! Or concealing his arm up his jumper and then squirting ketchup all over the woodwork room, pretending he had sawn it off. Every time one of Hank's pranks landed, he would shout at the top of his voice, "Gotcha!" Hank's family was the main target of his pranks. At his grandmother's house, he replaced her night cream with a real cream from the fridge. This meant she spent the whole night fighting off her 6 cats who all tried to lick it off. Meow. "Off!" yelled the poor old lady. "Gotcha!" said Hank. His sister Molly had a terrible fear of sharks after seeing them on television, so when she went for her weekly swimming lesson, Hank saw the perfect opportunity to terrorise her. He made a shark costume out of bin liners, fashioned a fin from a float, and then swam towards her. "Ah!" she screamed. Now the girl is so frightened of water, she won't even get in the bath. "Gotcha!" said Hank. His father was allergic to cheese. Whenever he had it, the man had to dash to the toilet, clutching his bottom for fear it might explode. So Hank bought a huge slab of cheese and cut it into the shape of biscuits. He then dipped the cheese shapes in melted chocolate. "Here you go, Dad, some lovely chocolate biscuits." "Ah, thank you, Hank, what a good boy you are," said Father. He took a large bite. Immediately he could hear his tummy fizzing and popping. Before long he was clutching his bottom and running for the toilet. "Ah, Geronimo!" yelled his father as he ran. "Gotcha!" said Hank. The man's bottom hit the toilet seat just as his bottom exploded. It was a dead heat. Father didn't come out of there for 3 whole days. Hank's grandfather had loved his nice comfy slippers and kept them by his bed so he could slip them into his feet first thing in the morning. Hank being Hank, he attached roller skates to the bottom of each one, so when Grandpa slipped his slippers on, he went flying across the bedroom. "Woo!" and only stopped when he hit the wardrobe. Clunk. "Gotcha!" said Hank. His uncle and aunt fared no better. Uncle Tony's hobby was collecting prized remote control planes, whereas Auntie Katie's hobby was looking after her gerbils. Hank had the idea of combining their 2 hobbies. While he was staying over at their house, he put the gerbils in the planes and took them to the skies. The poor creatures were so petrified they parachuted out. sky was littered with little creatures floating to the ground. "Gotcha! Gotcha! Gotcha!" shouted Hank. The person who Hank managed to upset most with his pranks was his own mother. The poor lady was always incredibly jumpy. You would be too if your son played devilish tricks on you every single day. Now, all sorts of things could set mother's nerves off. The doorbell ringing, little yappy dogs, someone dropping a spoon, bright lights, the dark, a sneeze, the beep 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 of a lorry reversing, the sound of flip-flops flip-flopping, the noise of bubblegum popping, loud dramatic music at the start of the news, or someone playing the castanets. Oh, almost forgot to show you that one. I wonder what he's going to do to his mother. Needless to say, Mother hated having tricks played on her. Her son showed no mercy though. It was because her reaction to his pranks was the greatest that Hank dreamed up devilish tricks to play on her. The boy would think of the next day's pranks while enjoying his nightly bath. Mother always moaned that he spent far too much time in there. Every evening, after her son had been in the bath for over an hour, she would pound on the bathroom door. Thud, thud, thud. "Hank, come out! If you stay in that bath a second longer, my boy, you will end up like a withered prune," Mother would shout. "How dare you!" Hank would bawl back from the bath. "Never interrupt a genius at work." "What do you mean, at work?" the lady would splutter. "You're not at work, you're in the bath." "I am thinking," he said. As usual, it was while lying in the bath that Hank had what he thought was a genius idea. "This is the prank to end all pranks," he proclaimed as he rubbed his stumpy hands together with glee. "This will be my masterpiece. Shakespeare and Hamlet, Leonardo da Vinci and the State of somebody, Mozart and something or another. Well, this one is mine." Hank thought he could give his mother the shock of her life if he pretended he had been in the bath all night. No doubt this would cause her to go bananas. Steam would come out of her ears. She would go cross-eyed. Her hair would stand up on end. She would slap herself in the face. She would start hopping on one leg. She would bang herself on the head with a tambourine. Her face would turn purple. She would pass out and fall to the floor with a clunk. Ideally, for Hank, all of the above. So, on the morning our story begins, Hank got out of bed super early. This isn't something the world's worst children often do, unless they have an evil plan, and Hank definitely had one of those. First, he slipped out of his pyjamas and put on his swimming trunks and goggles. Next, Hank found his box of pens, tiptoed out of his bedroom, and sneaked downstairs into the kitchen. There, he emptied the freezer of all the ice cubes, which he carried in a bucket, up to the bathroom. Once safely inside, Hank closed the door behind him as quietly as he could. Now, Hank looked at himself in the bathroom mirror. How could he make it look as if he'd been up in the bath all night? He took out a brown felt tip pen and drew hundreds of lines all over his face and body. In no time at all, the boy looked exactly like an unusually large prune. Spot the difference in the bottom picture. So one is very pruny with all of those lines, and the other one is just Hank. As silently as possible, Hank ran the cold tap and added all of the ice. If the bath was hot, nobody would believe that he'd been in there all night. With trepidation, Hank stepped into the bath. It was cold. Last, he lay down in the water and waited for his mother to wake up. Sure enough, after a short while, Hank heard the sound of his mother clumping down the corridor to the bathroom. Clump, clump, clump. Yes, thought Hank, though he kept quiet as not to spoil the awful surprise. What a shock was awaiting for his mother! It was sure to make her go absolutely gaga. Except Mother never looked into the bath. The lady had only just got up. "Oh, we're still half asleep." She slumped down onto the toilet, and for a few moments before flushing the chain. Mother was out of the bathroom in moments. Oh dear, thought Hank. Still, she's bound to come back in soon, and then I'll say gotcha. So you can see Hank there in a freezing bath, and you can see Mum going to the toilet. And she obviously is half asleep because she's tucked her nightie or dressing gown into her knickers. Now, it was beginning to feel horribly cold in the bath. Hank started shivering and his teeth began chattering. What's more, the boy could feel his skin was puckering and withering like that of a prune. There had been no need for the felt-tip lines after all. Still, Hank had come this far. He couldn't give up now. Mother was sure to return to the bathroom any moment. Moments came and moments went. After what seemed like an hour, Mother did finally return to the bathroom, but instead of turning on the shower and seeing her son lying in the bath, the lady washed her face in the basin. Her daughter, Molly, breezed past her to grab a toothbrush. "Have you seen Hank?" asked Mother. "He must be in bed," replied the girl. "Oh, that little devil is still asleep then. The more time he spends in bed, the less time he has to play his nasty tricks on us." And soon the pair left the bathroom. Hank was feeling like a bit of a fool, a freezing cold fool, as he lay in wait in the bath, which felt colder than swimming in the Arctic. Eventually, the boy's father came into the bathroom. Surely he would spot Hank. The man began to wash under his arms with a flannel. Hank tried to cry out, "Look in the bath!" But by now he was too cold to speak, as his mouth had frozen solid. When his father left the bathroom, Hank realised that he would have to stop the prank on his mother. He could hear the family downstairs in the kitchen having breakfast. Climbing out of the bath was quite a task for Hank, though, because his whole body was shaking. The boy checked his reflection in the mirror, and he had turned bright blue. Oh dear. Feeling as if he'd been encased in ice, he shuffled stiffly across the corridor to the top of the stairs. Hank's legs were frozen solid. As he tried to take a step, he fell forward and clunk, 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 slid down the stairs, shooting across the hallway like a toboggan. Wonder where he's going to end up. Hank's head slammed into the kitchen door, and he came to a halt just at Mother's feet. The lady looked down at her blue son. "What on earth?" she proclaimed. "It's just another of his pranks," said Molly, who was munching on a piece of toast. "Oh yes," said Father, barely looking up from his morning newspaper. "He's all wet, and look, he's drawn lines all over himself with a felt-tip pen," exclaimed Molly. "And he must have painted himself blue. Hank has really outdone himself this time." "He looks like a smurf," observed Father. "What is it all about?" asked the lady, puzzled. Molly thought for a moment and looked down at her brother as he lay shivering on the lino floor. "Hank's trying to make it look like he's been in the bath all night." "Oh yes," exclaimed Mother, and all three of them burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha!" "The joke's on you this time, Hank," said Father. "I love it," added Mother. Her eyes were lit up with glee that the tables had finally been turned. Hank still lay shivering on the floor. "Help!" he chattered. The three roared with laughter. "Gotcha!" they all shouted in unison before returning to their breakfast. After Hank had been lying there on the kitchen floor for a good few hours, unable to speak or move, the family finally suspected that something might be really wrong. The boy was rushed to hospital in an ambulance, and the doctors and nurses raced his stretcher into the children's ward and wedged him up against a radiator. It took Hank a whole week to thaw out. Oops. Embarrassingly, the boy needed an operation to remove his swimming trunks. Because of the extreme cold, they'd become welded to his bottom. That's what happens when a prank goes terribly wrong. And if you play a trick on someone, the jokes can end up being on you. Gotcha. I don't know about you, but I quite liked that one, especially because it turned around and ended up on him in the end. I hope you liked that one, and I hope you have been enjoying the home learning that I've been sending this week. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you very soon and hearing from you more and more. Take care. Bye.